Law professor at the University of Miami. And Professor, thank you so much for joining us and to help us sort of make sense of this really horrifying incident. What are your thoughts on the role Facebook plays in all this?
Well, first and foremost, Facebook has to take responsibility for the fact that it's created this product. To some extent, you have platforms like Facebook that want to claim that they're just reflecting what society already is. But we really have to acknowledge the fact that we're also creating what society is, and we're providing incentives, and we're encouraging people to do things that they may not have otherwise have done because of the products that companies like Facebook are offering.
You're saying that Facebook should assume responsibility as a media platform. We did get a statement from a Facebook spokesperson who said, quote, "We do not allow people to celebrate or glorify crimes on Facebook and have removed the original video for this reason," unquote. And Marianne, we also know that they have vowed to track down and remove violent imagery. But in your view, is that enough?
Well, I think it really can't even be a question of whether it's enough. We're talking about measures that are taken after the fact. The entire point of Facebook Live and all of these live streaming services is that they're immediate and there's really no way to stop them once they go viral. So when you have Facebook and other companies saying we're going to do something after the fact, even if it's quite effective, even if it's quite principled, this is all happening quite a bit too late.
Yeah, and now we want to just prevent this timeline of violence on Facebook Live from extending, going on even further. Again, Facebook, along with other social platforms, has promised to monitor violent content, but, you know, it's such a huge global platform. Some are saying it needs to hire editors, human editors, to supervise live content in real time, but given what it is, can that even be done?
I think it's almost an insurmountable task, as you're suggesting.
Yeah.
And one of the most interesting things about that discussion is that the one question that isn't being asked by Facebook or other companies is whether they should have this product at all. There seems to be an underlying assumption that we need to have this because we can have this, and then to talk about ways that we can contain its worst effects. But the hard question, which is, should society even have this? Is it a good thing for society? Seems to be off the table altogether.
Yeah, it's a really hard question to ask. And if Facebook says, yeah, we're going to continue with Facebook Live, what's going to happen next? We know that hate crime has been, unfortunately, part of our culture for decades. Now with social media, it can be brought up front and live to a global audience. Could we see just more and more and more of this type of activity?
There's almost certainly going to be more of this activity. These types of activities are contagious to some extent. The more that people see that they can become famous for doing something terrible, something despicable, the more incentives are created for people to do exactly that. The more people see it, the more people are traumatized by it, the more people are encouraged by it. So I think what we're going to see is all the negative effects that you might get from a platform with as much reach and influence as Facebook. We're going to see all of those worst effects happening now.
We've talked about the platform, the crime, and I want to get your thoughts on the punishment. And the 4 teenagers, they face hate crime and kidnapping charges for that Facebook live stream torture. Do those charges seem appropriate? Do they sound right to you?
Well, it really depends on finding out some of the essential facts of the situation. Why it was that this young man was targeted, what exactly they were trying to accomplish. And so until we find out a little bit more about their motivations, it's hard to say what they ought to be charged with. But it certainly sounds like a plausible charge.